to wake up to a more true version of what I am involves giving up what currently is. To give up is a taboo in our culture. To give up hope is a taboo. Hope is, as it's generally referred to, hope is bullshit. It's unhelpful, it's regressive, it's anti-helpful for truth, or for something more true than what's true now for me, in my experience. Why? If I'm hoping, I'm projecting. It's as simple as that. And if you don't have a value judgment on projecting as bad, good for you. You escaped that. Um, the issue with projecting is that it's limiting expansion or evolving or seeing that I could be wrong about something or I could be incomplete about something. So if I'm hoping, I'm thinking I know how reality works or how I work or how whatever is, and I'm imagining how something could be based on that. The issue is, what if I'm wrong about what is? Then, or in other words, what if my current experience or my current view is incomplete? Then I'm going to be carrying that incompleteness into my hope. Now, if I value truth, or I value um, having the full picture, then that matters. I Then there's an issue with locking down, doubling down on my potential incompleteness by hoping. Hoping is like, no, I don't want it to change. No, I don't want it to get bad. No, I don't want to put blinders on. I don't want, I'm hoping, I'm hoping. So, like, there's nothing bad about that, but I will say it's destined to fail. And if we want a long-term solution, um, in other words, if we want the truth, or we want something that's more truthful, then, or if we want to succeed, then we don't want something that's destined to fail. We want the longer term solutions, or for some people, we want what's actual. We don't just want a solution, we want to see what's actual, and in that seeing of what's actual, all solutions fall apart anyway, as do all problems. Because if I'm complete, then whatever problem I had is insoluble. unsolvable. So yeah, hope is very culturally based, and it's also just very egoic, um, very human, very like just robotic, sort of like it's just programming. It's not. Yeah, like from a certain perspective, it's incredible that it even has the validity that it does in, amongst people, like as a thing that's somehow valuable. Hope. Um, it's like it's really such a weak strategic position to be in life. It's like also such a weak self definition. It's so small. It's like playing it so small, acting so small, and it's actually like I feel sadness about it because yeah, it's like it's just not in line with reality. Um, and that seems so. That seems pessimistic if you're subscribed to it. If you're not, then it's just it actually is a gift to see that because it's relieving when I was realizing that it's like oh I feel so much more clarity and emptiness and spaciousness in my belly specifically in my body like oh I can be I'm not hoping because hope is control like dipped in honey, right? Hope is control dipped in honey. Hope and romance they're some of the sweetest elements of the mass brainwashing. And I'm not making claims about what about like some evil overlords brainwashing us systematically or something. I'm not making a claim about if that's how true that is or isn't. We are brainwashed though, like programmed, conditioned, acculturated, and we're acculturated against original thinking, self authorship. If we were to wipe the slate clean and build our identities from the ground up, you know, um, which is part of the growing up process. Yeah, it's to birth our authentic self. We're not talking anything like high or spiritual either. It's just as an ego, like birthing our authentic self through the confines of the cultural conditioning. That can happen different ways, but a lot of times people take off the cultural. They see that the cultural conditioning is problematic somehow, and then they birth their authentic self from it. Some people, the authentic self starts to erupt, and more the attention is on birthing that, and the acculturation sort of falls apart as a result of that. But as we do that, like hope and romance can be like games we play. Um, but I don't think most people would actually choose to play those. Like you could play any game you want. You can for fun because you want to flavor your life that way. But I don't think most people would choose hope and romance. And if they did, it would not be. It'd be their own unique form. It wouldn't be hope and romance in the traditional sense. Romance is easier to break free of because it's really fucking inevitable. Like for everyone, no one makes it to the age of. Very few people make it to the age of like 60 with delusions of romance still intact. And if they do, they've probably been single for a long time, I'd say, and had absolutely no success in partnership. Because any evolution in partnership, any successes, any progress made in development of partnership with another person inevitably leads to the collapse of romantic ideals. Hope people stick with hope a lot longer. because like our society keeps us, if we participate in the normal matrix way, um, job, retirement, if we're still socialized, if we're still acculturated, and we don't break out of that, which anyone watching this video has at least partially broken out of that, like guaranteed. Um, Maybe a few people have like really broken out of that, really become truly authentic and mostly uncorrupted from acculturation. Oh, I lost where I was at with that. Oh, like, yeah, the more we self-author, the more likely we're gonna drop the whole hope game. Um, Here's a little tidbit: like, a lot of people, the way hope to me shows up, the last holdouts of hope with self-authored people tend to be people who get into like the law of attraction. And I'm not saying it's legitimate or illegitimate. That's like a whole other issue. And it's not simple. It's not a simple yes or no like that. Um, or rather, it is a simple yes or no, but it's not a simple explanation of why, or a simple process to get there. But there's a lot of people who use hope as a sort of magic fuel for law of attraction and manifesting. Um, I'd say like elementary school manifesting though, because it's like just egoic, like what I selfishly want, which that's not actual manifesting like in a higher sense. That's not. I don't think it's what the originators of the teachings of manifestation were talking about. But yeah, a lot of New Age, or like even more common, like capitalist New Age, like Los Angeles New Age, um, entrepreneur New Age. Those people are into law of attraction. They're into hope, and you can get pretty, I guess, like developed in your self authorship, sort of your individuation with that, because it's so in line with our society. It's so supported. It's bullshit, but it's so supported by our society. We have 350 million people. Like, we have hundreds of years old civilization that's like from the get go was based in these values, these like capitalist values, these independence values, these and it's only gotten stronger. Like late stage capitalism is only supporting um, hope and success and getting what you want out of life, has only supported that more and more. So hope is quite a childish sort of psychological phenomenon, and the only reason it's surviving in people who otherwise it wouldn't have lasted with is because, like I said, there's so much collective support for that. It's a really deep dream that we're in, most of us, and I'm not fully out of that, to be clear. Like, so I don't mean to speak from a place of like criticism of people doing that, but I'm describing what I'm seeing. So yeah, the issue is that it's doomed to fail. Is the thing. It's a projection based on where I'm at now, and that closes me off to being completely blindsided by reality. And so there's lots of opportunities for truth to get in and touch me, because we are truth. We're bathing in truth. Everything is realness, and to the degree that I'm trying to be something, I am concreting myself in a little unreality meat suit. Like, unreality, my reality. Or even worse, a reality that I call mine, but it's actually implanted in me by culture and socialization, domestication, programming. But I call it my reality, but it's not even me. It's mostly unoriginal. Yeah, and then some people have like made it my reality, and either way, when we're hoping, we're projecting, um, based on our own incompleteness. It's a lot of hubris. It's a lot of like, it's narcissistic. It's unkind to it's unkind to others, because I'm showing up, bringing others my unreality instead of offering them reality. And I'm for sure controlling, or attempting to control them to some degree, because I have an agenda. Agendas are unreal. Based on misunderstanding, incompleteness. So, we're talking about awakening involving giving up. And that's the central, that's like the big hurdle. That's the big hurdle. Between something and something else. Between something and everything. So there's a lot of people that go on the spiritual path, that progress spiritually, and they don't understand that giving up all paths and all progress is what's involved. They could have done it earlier, but they were too attached to the progress rather than actual reality. So like most people, I guess they're just like not born with the actual desire to see what's to see what's actual. Maybe they're but they get into spirituality, and from a place of wanting to pursue rather than wanting to discard. And so that gets them up, if they're really diligent, and they need to be diligent because they're not actually interested in what's actual. And so if they want to get any quote unquote progress, then the only thing that's going to help them is being diligent and intelligent, maybe, and all that. I don't know. And also, we're acculturated to be very diligent workers. You know, a lot of us. So it's just another form of success. So yeah, and just an aside, I guess, just a personal like opinion here. It feels like such a waste of life to be a pursuer of spiritual matters. That sounds awful. That sounds awful. So, and then the alternate is someone who's interested in actuality, and that involves a lot of discarding, because because sooner or later, it's seen that I have, or not even I, like there are on this experience a lot of assumptions, including an assumption of an I. There's a lot of filters, a lot of yeah, deceptive filters and assumptions that are producing uh, what appears to be the experience of reality. So, those who are interested in actuality are probably going to grasp this notion of giving up a lot faster than someone who's a pursuer of spiritual advancement, which to an actuality person, um, this idea of advancement in spirituality is like from where I sit at least, it's like pretty nonsensical. It's like what are you, what is the pursuit involved? Like what is the progress? Like what is, sure, in like a scientific way we can measure progress and make maps, and like experientially, I'm curious what even is being marked as progress, like in an experiential way. That it seems silly. Again, from a more scientific third person perspective, yes, we can map uh, progress. Though um, it's a big risk to do so, because it's like just giving the mind more stuff, and whatever pursuit and success programs reside in us are going to get real turned on by progression models. And those are going to be hard to give up, and everything needs to be given up. So, yeah, like no one wants to hear it, including parts of me still holding on, that like you don't got anything to do. You don't got to do anything. Like give up. Give up. Give up. Give up. Give up. And if we live enough, I don't have a belief about lifetimes, about multiple lifetimes. But speaking just casually, it's going to take a lot of lifetimes to, but inevitably, experience will bring us to the giving up, because all pursuits are self-created, and not self-created. All pursuits are programmatically created, like the false, created by the false self, created by another creation. They're not real. They're not original, and so they're finite. And it's like Wile E. Coyote in Roadrunner, where there's a brick wall, and Wile E. Coyote paints, or Roadrunner, I guess, paints like a train hole, like a train tunnel, and a train going off, and then Wile E. Coyote runs into the wall, thinking he's running down a tunnel. So it looks like a tunnel, and it is a tunnel, but it's more like a painting of a tunnel. So that's what pursuits are. That's thinking that I'm gonna find um, a partner that completes this sense of incompletion. Thinking that when I get rich enough, it'll fulfill this sense of incompletion. When when I do whatever, when I get enough acknowledgement, validation, popularity, those will do stuff. Those will create nice brain chemicals. Um, but there'll always be that sense of incompletion. Because the sense of incompletion is the Wile E. Coyote wall with a train tunnel painted on it. It looks like an incompletion, but it's not an incompletion. It's just an appearance of an incompletion. So it can't get completed because it's not an incompletion. There's nothing to it. There's literally nothing to it. It's the wall with the train tunnel painted on it. And like giving it up is what's eventually going to happen. Enough experience um, will lead to understanding the nature of that illusion, or at least that it is an illusion, and losing hope. And what a mercy, and in giving it up, and in being, and yes, feeling sadness and depression, maybe anger, maybe feeling really hurt, maybe feeling betrayed. The emotion felt will be unique to the individual and their makeup. For me, it's sadness. I tend to repress sadness, and so sadness, just feeling the raw emotion alone, unlocks a lot of these illusions for me, these psychological illusions. You can go in through the mental or the emotional. So you can go to that core emotion that you tend to repress. Most people repress anger. Some people repress hurt. Some people repress sadness. One can go about feeling the core emotion, and it'll reveal and resolve a lot of the energetic entanglements inside the psychological beliefs around hoping for something, hoping for completion, for satisfaction, for salvation. Money, partner, and popularity or validation are three huge ones. Or purpose. Purpose is a big one too. People, well, maybe that'll be a different video. We won't go into that right now. If we so we can go through this life having a lot of experiences, burning a lot of karma. That was one way of saying it. But burning karma means going through an experience and recognizing the mental deception that that experience was going to save, complete, or satisfy me in a lasting way, or fill in some hole. when we go through the experience, when we realize that we're burning, that's what burning karma is. There's perhaps other ways to burn karma, but that's a very normal route that happens when you just live life and experience different things. To the degree that you're hiding from life, you'll experience less of that. Another route to getting to the point of readiness of giving up, which, just to be clear, the readiness, let's be careful with that, because that can be used to keep us stagnant if we're waiting to be ready. And for most people listening, you probably, or most people in general, like, you probably need to give up on this idea of readiness. The mind, like the inner child's probably using this irresponsibly. When you're a child, you don't want to give up your things to grow up, just like as you're an adult. So, like, waiting till you're ready, like most of your gigantic shifts in life, growing up as a child and as an adult, your development didn't come from being ready. It came from being thrust upon you, or you being thrust by life, being forced by life. And you became ready because that's what was happening. Or you weren't ready, and there's shadow and trauma associated with that progression. But evolution rarely happens when there's full readiness. Maybe you get a little bit here and there, but generally, don't wait for it. Don't wait. Don't wait. So, like I was saying, the other method is to understand, if you're an actuality person who's open to truth and giving up everything, you're open to the truth path, then it involves understanding. It's not technically required to go through experiences to burn karma. If one understands and has true, in spiritual circles, they call it burning desire. I would call it an actuality orientation. Um, Rather than a spiritual progression orientation. Then understanding the mechanics of this and going through a few of the, like, learning from a few examples in your life where you realize that it wasn't going to give you what you thought it would. You pursue something, you get there. You really fucking get there. You get to that thing that you were seeking, and then you live there for a while, and then you see what happens. Like, I worked out and got my dream body. I spent hundreds of hours learning about working out and experimenting different methods, and and of course with diet and nutrition, and I got like that top, whatever, 0.5% percentile body. It's like any room I walked in, I was almost certainly like the best physique in there, and I lived with that for a while, and took discipline, and a whole lot of other qualities, and it didn't give me what I thought it would. It gave me like 1% of the reward I thought was going to be there, and even that, it was different. It was experienced differently. When you work really fucking hard, and you give up, you sacrifice a lot to get something in a pursuit, you sort of appreciate it less. It's like, well, no, it's like you get there and you're like, well, goddamn, I worked fucking hard. Like, I'm not even surprised that I look like this now. I'm not even really enjoying it that much because it wasn't given to me. I didn't just get it. Like, I worked for it. It just made sense that I was in that position. So it's like I paid for it. I'm not like, oh, I'm so blessed. Like I fucking paid for it. I did this. So there's also that element of getting what you really want is when you work for it. You really feel like it's just an equal exchange that you ended up getting it. But lived there for a while and I saw, yeah, it was not the experience I thought it would be, and it didn't change that much. So once you do a one or two or three of those in your life, the big ones, maybe a bunch of small ones and medium ones, but the big ones are really helpful. Then you see, you get it, and you get it listening to all the wise people throughout history and the famous people who were good thinkers, like talk about this. You start to just get like accept, okay, this is how all of my desires are going to be. This is how all my pursuits are going to be. Anything I think is going to be awesome to experience in like a deep pursuit. I'm not saying like skydiving or something. That can be totally awesome. Although that was also underwhelming to me. But like anything you think is going to be awesome, it's not going to complete you the way you think it is. And that's a law. That's how life works. People don't really, you hear that said, but we're totally programmed the opposite growing up. You can be anything you want to be. It's like, okay, but everything's going to disappoint you. It's like, and that's part of growing up. And most people don't grow up. They just think something's wrong with them, and that's why they feel incomplete. They didn't do a good enough job, and that's why they feel incomplete. So if you understand the mechanics, then you can start giving up. You can just start giving up. Just give up. Just give up. Give up. And give that up. And feel the emotion with it. Like that's crucial. Can't be repressing any emotions here. You gotta let yourself be. If you're an anger oppressor, you gotta feel that anger. And it's gonna be fucking life changing. It's gonna rip your life apart and who you think you are. It's deep shadow work. It's not gonna feel good. It's gonna feel like work. It's gonna feel like actual work because it's what your system's resistant to. Or maybe you're gonna have to feel that you're fucking hurt. Like if you're a really heady person, real intellectual, in your head, like not in your feelings, you're gonna have to feel the pain that you've been avoiding, that you're fucking hurt. Or like me as a sadness repressor, I have to let myself just be sad, weak. Like the last thing I want to be is weak, helpless. Like I'm just sad. There's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. And feel that and bounce between the psychological giving up and feeling the sadness associated with that. Yeah. Feel the repressed emotion. Have many, 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 many emotional releases on this. And drugs aren't going to help. Psychedelics aren't going to help. MDMA is not going to help. Ketamine's not going to help. Talking about it's not going to help. Sounds are going to help. Raw emotional expressions. Perhaps looking in the mirror a lot. Words aren't going to help, whether you say them alone or to someone else. That's just moving it into your mind. Your system is going to try to move it into your mind. It's important to understand your system is geared around completely avoiding this. Your system is geared around completely avoiding this. moving the energy into the mind and into verbal expression, into touching it just a little bit, dipping your toe in and coming out. All right, I felt it. And I don't want to be that. I choose not to be that. I'm not an angry person. I don't want to choose that, this kind of thing. Like you literally, this involves being what you don't want to be. That's precisely what it involves. That's what shadow is. Why would I want to be weak? That's my version. Why would I want to be weak? Like, I don't want to be weak. Like, I feel happy when I'm strong. I feel happy when I'm capable. It's not about you. It's not about me. Giving up also involves whatever I want. Not as a cop out. That's not what that is. It's more like giving in. It's, I desire this and I'm going after it, and I desire that, but I'm gonna not do it. I'm just gonna stay in my cave or whatever. I'm gonna not do it. Or I'm gonna stay extroverted so I don't have to face it. It's not one of these. It's not going for or against desires. It's giving in the center. Surrendering into ourselves. Really fucking giving up. Not leaving our body. Not blocking our desire. Giving in right into the center. That's enough for today. See y'all next time. Wishing you well.